Hey guys, welcome to my next tutorial building a 3-post RDA. Today I'm going to be using the Aeolus V2 Pro. Great little 3-post RDA that I found. I've had it for over a year. Here are the tools you're going to need, and I've taken the time to pre-wrap my coils. So these are 10 wrap 3mm coils. So here we go. This is the Aeolus sitting on a mod. I put it up there because I do like to build on a mechanical mod and I didn't have my tool. So you notice we have 3 posts. The center is a positive, the 2 outsides are negative. That is where we're going to stick the leads. It's very simple to build on, so we're going to dive right in. So we're going to take our coil, stick it on our jig or screwdriver, whatever it happened to be using. We're going to go 1 lead to the negative, 1 lead to the positive. What I'm doing here is making sure that the coil is a reasonable distance away from the center post. You want there to be a little gap, but for best performance, make sure that that coil is right next to the post, and you can always stretch it out a little bit once you tighten down the leads. Now I'm struggling a little bit here. It's because I haven't built on a 3-post in a while, so do forgive the horrible camera angle, but we will get through this. So here we have it. I'm going to need to tighten one of those leads down just a little bit more on the negative side. It is a little loose. And you'll notice that I do not tighten down the center post. And that's because we do have to squeeze the lead of the second coil through that guy. So there it is. We're going to snip the coils so that they're flush, make it as easy for installing the second coil as possible, as well as finishing the build. There we go. And now on to the second coil. We're just going to repeat the process of putting the coil on the jig bit and installing it into the atomizer. Once again, you want to make sure that there is a little space between the coil and the center post, but not too much. For best performance, everything needs to be as equal as possible. Okay, now we're going to tighten down the negative lead and the positive lead. We've gotten the coil positioned so that it is as equal as possible. I'm no pro at this. I'm just all right. Let's see, struggling. I'm doing a voiceover, guys. I did this at like 12 o'clock at night. Wanted to be respectful of the roommates and what have you. There we go. And what you're seeing me do is position the coil. So positioning the coil means getting it so that it is as close to center as possible. With an atomizer that offers side airflow, this is very important. The Aeolus is a little bit of a different beast. I don't have to be meticulous and perfect with it, but I absolutely try. Now what I'm doing here is pointing out the lead from the newly installed coil. And what I'm doing is trying to pull it away from the coil that you can see so that I can snip it. See, can't see it very well there, but it's there, I promise. There's me pointing at it. I've got it cocked out to an angle. And what I'm going to do is position the coils and snip it. Boom. Now you're going to see me put the screwdriver back up to it. What I'm doing is pressing the little bit of excess lead that's left there flat against the positive post so that it doesn't make contact with the other coil. And now we're going to position them. Notice that I'm not exactly being gentle with it. It's wire, it's meant to bend. The downside is that if you are a little too rough with it, you may have to rewrap a coil, but that is the risk that we take. making sure my connections are tight before I put it on top of my regulated device for firing. Here I'm using my RX 2/3. I'm setting the wattage so that I can start pinching and firing my coils. I've set it to 30 watts. It's a nice middle of the ground wattage. You don't need a whole lot of power for this step. Now what we're going to do is rake and pinch. So to rake your coils, you use the flathead screwdriver and you gently rake the coils. You drag it across each wrap. What it does is it creates a micro gap, and it'll help your coils fire a little more evenly. Let's see. Oh, looks like I forgot to snip a lead. Got so tied up taking care of the positive post, I forgot about that other negative post lead. Now, you notice that you can see gunk burning off of my coils, but I did not make them glow. I just fired it briefly to kind of start warming it up, and I'll start raking again. And this is how the process goes. This is the portion of building that takes a little patience, but in the long run, it is well worth it. Let's see, going for the ceramic tip tweezers. We're going to squeeze these guys a little bit. It seems counterproductive to raking, but this all helps achieve something in the very end. You could kind of see there one of my coils did start to glow a little. So here we go. What you're ultimately looking for is to get your coils to glow evenly from the center out, and you will see that here in a minute. So what you've watched is me pinch and rake my coils. What I noticed was that one coil was firing hotter than the other, so I am checking my leads to make sure that they are still tight. It is common. There are pro builders out there who will tell you that they build right the first time every time, and I believe them, but I promise you everyone goes through the same thing, at least for a little while, where you will have one coil firing hotter than the other. There comes a point where, as long as you're happy with it and it isn't a significant difference, for instance, one is glowing orange and one is just starting to glow orange, you're okay to start wicking. Just make sure there are no hot spots, and hot spots are spots in the coil that look way brighter than the rest of the coil. Those will cause harsh hits, and you don't want that. So here it is, glowing evenly from the inside out. It's a nice even glow. We're ready to wick this bad boy. Alright, so I've pre-cut my cotton. I use cotton bacon. You can use shishito cotton, Japanese organic cotton, sheets, cotton balls, as long as they're organic, whatever you want to use to wick. Just make sure that you have it. The idea is to roll the cotton so that it is just slightly fatter than the inner diameter of your coil. What that means is that, for instance, these are 3mm coils. That means that I want my cotton to be 3.2 to 3.5 millimeters in diameter. It's a lot of guesswork on my end. It's a lot of eyeballing and just getting used to it. But you create a little bow tie, you repeat the process, there it is, and it's very simple to do. Now we're going to cut the cotton so that it is a reasonable length to be able to tuck under the coil into the atomizer. I usually cut it just a couple of millimeters off of the build deck, and that way I can take my flathead screwdriver, the smallest one I have, and start tucking the cotton in. And what you'll notice is that I don't put it directly under the coils. I actually leave a space. The idea is that you stick it in there. You're going to wrap it under just the outer edge of the coil, or if you have a deeper juice well, it's going to make it easier. It goes between the wall of the well and the coil, and that's where your cotton is going to sit so that it can collect juice from the bottom of the atomizer. Alright, we've tucked it away. Now I'm just going to put some finishing touches on it. What you're going to see me do is tuck in any loose strands and kind of pack the cotton in so that it's even flush with the build deck. And there it is. Now, see here, it's not the greatest angle, but you can see that there's a gap. There's no cotton directly underneath my coil. That allows for airflow, and it allows my coils to breathe. It's going to give you great flavor. Here's the finished product. Top-down view. Next, some performance. Look at me go. My room at midnight. Check out the clouds those little 3mm coils put off. The flavor is outstanding. The build was a lot of fun. It's been quite some time since I built on a 3-post atomizer. Guys, I hope you learned something from this video. I absolutely enjoyed making it. Until next time, keep vaping.